These thoughts up in my head. Things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here.
I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, the Overthinking ThoughtsPod. I'm your host, Ed, and as always, journey with me as we pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. Here we are again with another episode. Week to week, I try to give you something that helps you to not overthink, to not be extremely anxious, and overall, just feel good about who you are and what you've done. So, shout out to all of you that are listening or watching, however you support the podcast. Thank you, because I truly appreciate it. To all those that are continuing and have been following me for a while, thank y'all for continuing the journey. I really appreciate it. For those of you that are new, it's a simple concept. As crazy as the world is, we just try to pursue greatness in a world full of chaos through everything that we do. And so each week I try to provide us with something that I know we relate to, or something that I've related to, or something that I've experienced. Try to give you some insight. I'm not like a licensed professional or anything like that. I'm just a man using words that God gave him, and is just trying to do the best that he can to help out as many people as I can. And that's why we pursue greatness, because this world is very chaotic. But nevertheless, we keep going. So I hope your week went well. Things went well on our side. They kind of went well. My son had his football and his soccer games, and things didn't go the way he wanted them to. And they were both close games. He lost the football game by one touchdown. He lost the soccer game by one goal. So he learned the lesson in you can prepare for so much stuff, and sometimes even in the preparation, it just doesn't go the way you want it to go. But then the question I told him is, said, as an athlete, how you deal with loss and adversity is how it reveals the type of character you have. So he's already like, okay, it's basketball season and all that I've learned from everything else. I'm getting ready to go and just try to take off and try to do the best that he can. So I know he's ready and determined, which is good. We took my son out for the holiday. He was a baby shark, which was cute. It's the first time he was kind of walking around saying hi to people. But he had a great time. It just got cold, so we shut it down a little bit. And but he was smiling and giggling and laughing. And although there was one, it was like a little alien costume. He wasn't feeling that. He let me know about it. So, but outside of that, things were good. Things were great. Yeah, so I hope that your week is going well too. As always, the podcast, you can catch us streaming on Spotify. You can catch us streaming on Google Podcasts. We're also on Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you want the visuals, we're over on YouTube. And for the social medias, you can always catch me over on Instagram at OverthinkingThoughtsPod, and also on TikTok at OverthinkingThoughtsPod. Shout out to all the new followers over on TikTok, those that comment, support, and like. Shout out to new followers over on Instagram. I see y'all. And anybody who is wanting to support the podcast, you want to know how can I help this guy out, go to YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your people. Let's get it out there so the algorithm can do what it needs to do to get the message across. All right. Okay. Housekeeping items out the way. Let's talk about this week's topic. I want to talk about staying on your path. I've had a lot of conversations this week that really kind of like I was going back and forth on things. Like I was thinking about pride, I was thinking about distractions, I was thinking about how certain situations make us overthink way more than what we need to. And it dawned on me, it was just like, you know what, we all have these paths that we walk, and we easily get distracted by everything else around us. And it's like, what do we do to stay on our path, and how do we trust what we do, right? One of the most unique things about all of us as individuals is that we all have certain paths and certain places that we're going. And the path is strictly designed for us. Sometimes it doesn't look as glamorous as what we see from somebody else, but what we fail to realize is we're on the outside looking in of what their journey looks like, right? So it looks cool, but we don't know the hell they had to go through to even get to that point. We don't know how many obstacles they had to face, how many distractions came their way. And so it's so vital to stay on your path and do what it is that you're meant to do, because if you stray off of it, a couple things happen. One, you get distracted from the goal. Two, you may not accomplish what you're set to accomplish. Three, and whether you believe it or not, other people who are waiting on you to reach your final destination, to be able to spread your light and spread your testimony, they miss out because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So it's a bigger responsibility than what most people think, and yet it can be difficult. So it's like, I think about my life and how I could go back and look at so much stuff and realize, like, wow, I was trying to be like everybody else. I wanted to be the popular dude. I want to do this. I want to do that. I wanted different images and all that. And you cannot escape who you're supposed to be. No matter how hard you try, no matter, this is appropriate, no matter how many masks you try to put on, or how many costumes you try to wear, or how many other things you try to do to get away from where you're supposed to be, you'll always come back to home base, because that's who you truly are. That's what truly lies inside of you. So it's like, how do you allow yourself to, I don't know, put yourself in that position to grow and to stay on your path? You got to stay focused on what it is that you're meant to do. Sometimes that means losing friends in the process. Sometimes that means certain things that you were used to, you got to cut off, you got to let go, and you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with whatever is destined on that journey, because regardless of if it's good news or bad news, it's something that's going to help you get better in the long run. Of course, we don't see that in the process. We don't see it when we're first taking these steps on our journey, because as we're accomplishing things, we think we should still keep doing that. But there's so many other things that are trying to come after you, because when you are reaching your full potential and you are staying on the course of where you're intended to go, there's always going to be something or someone that tries to distract you and take you away from it. Unfortunately, people get intimidated by people who stay unique to themselves and try to find success the right way. Why that happens, blame it on the world. They try to give you all these ideas of what they think you should do. It's like almost every other week, there's something new you should be doing. You should have this type of family. You should be married to this type of woman, or have this type of man, or you should have this amount of money and drive this car and have this, that, and the third, and all this other stuff. The world truly doesn't care what you do, because every week it's going to give you something different. You're going to exhaust yourself by trying to keep up with the standards of what society says you should have, and yet you're going to lose yourself in the process, because the true you is waiting on you to come back to fulfill the promises that were given to you, and yet you want to neglect it because of what other people have, what other people say, or what other people think. And you got to ask yourself, are you more concerned about other people, or are you more in tune with who you are as a person? So you got to figure out how you're going to navigate this life. I think as you reach certain levels, it can be a little stressful. You got to remember, on your journey, when you are reaching certain destinations, a lot of us may be breaking generational curses. A lot of us may be the first to do something in our family that nobody else has done. So you got to realize that it's different territory, because you haven't seen it happen before, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. It doesn't mean that you can't be successful. It doesn't mean that you can't achieve the goals that have been set for you. But you got to get out of your own head. You also have to remove any negative doubt or anything that's going to hinder you from creating your finished product. So we have to be very careful in how we step, how we walk, and who we walk with, because that's important too. The people you surround yourself with, the people that you talk to, the people you get your motivation from, like, do they have your best interest at heart? Do they believe in you? Do they support you? Do they love you like they say they do? Do they clap for you when you up and pick you up when you down? Like, do you have those people? The same goes for, like, for me, when I've been in some relationships, but I knew at some point I had to get my stuff together, right? So it was like, when I'm thinking about who I want to be with, I was very specific in what I wanted, and I prayed for that, and I have it. And I think it's very important to choose a spouse that's going to support you while you up, is going to pick you up while you down, that's not going to judge you, but is going to find ways to help you. And sometimes the constructive criticism makes you feel a little different, because it's like, it's a hit to the ego, but also know that if you got the right person, it comes from a place of love, not hate, not hurt, right? So it's all in. You got to be very careful in who you choose and what you choose, but also how you choose it. It sounds difficult, but it's a day-to-day process. It's not going to happen overnight. So you got to put yourself in a position to say, okay, I'm going to try to conquer this today. And you do what you can in that day. You rest, you wake up the next day, you try to go back at it. You build off your wins and you learn from your losses. And you can't worry about what other people are saying about it, because everybody's going to have something to say when you're down. Can they cheer for you, though? Are they going to cheer for you when you achieve success? Probably not. So you know not to bring them with you. That's on them. Quietly, though, they're waiting on you to do it because they need to see if it can be done, because they don't believe it for themselves. So you're kind of the blueprint for this, whether you like it or not. So you're the important person. You're the trendsetter. You're the generational curse breaker. You're breaking the chains of all the things that tried to hold you back. You are our power source. You're the main person that's going to show us the light that we need in order to get to where we need to go. But you cannot hide in the shadow of fear. You cannot hide in the shadow of other people. You have to strive to do the best that you can. And look, if you fall, there's nothing wrong with getting back up and picking up where you started. It's when you quit when it becomes more difficult. It's when you turn your back on everything you worked for. It's when you eliminate the progress you made. It's when you don't acknowledge the things that you've done well. That's when it gets more difficult and you can't continue. So don't even put yourself in that position. Speak positive over your life. Speak value into your life. That way you know that where you're going and how you're moving is going to be successful. But it comes down to you. And you have a lot of people that are waiting on you to get to that point, which is why you have to stay on your path. Because you're the only one that can walk it. You're the only one that can get to the next level on that path. And when you achieve that, you're going to be able to be helpful for so many others that have been watching you walk, watching you grow. And when they see that you can do it, it's going to give them all the faith in the world to believe that they can do it as well. You're that person, whether you like it or not. But, as you go on this path, there's going to be things that try to take you away from it. So you have to be very aware of all of the distractions and all of the things that try to hold you back. There's so many different things that can come up. And there's so much that tries to keep you away from it. And I'll try to tie it into like the end of one of like, there's a reason why this tries to happen. It is, but kind of follow me, right? So depending on what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to go after, as you are taking steps and staying on your path, there are going to be certain things that try to pull you away from what you're doing. You ever wonder, like, as you're going on your path and you get tired and you don't want to keep moving forward, there's clearly something there that's trying to keep you away from that. You got to ask yourself, well, why? Like, why is this spirit weighing heavy on me? I know that I need to do this. It's like, for example, recording this podcast, like all day, I was like, I know I have to do it, but I was like, well, maybe I'll just chill. I'm kind of tired. Maybe I'll just do it next week. But then I was like, why is this thought in my head? Like, what is it about what I'm doing that the enemy wants to stop? So clearly I had to get up and I had to overcome it. And I had to say, I'm not going to let anything take me away from what I've worked for. Like, I can't let those distractions hold me back. Also, just be careful as you walk on your path, because the things that you used to do that you don't need to do anymore, they'll try to come back, and they'll try to come back more enticing as well. Like, for men in general, as men, especially when we were just trying to figure it out, a lot of us went through life through what I call survival. We didn't necessarily know it was survival at the time. We just had to move from one place to the other. And I was actually talking to somebody about this because they were telling me about like things that were going on in their past. And I'm like, yeah, every day you woke up, you were in survival mode. And in survival mode, what happens is that you're finding things that will temporarily help you, but won't permanently fix what it is that you're going through. And in those temporary issues, there's a lot of distractions that can really throw people off course. For us men, and I'm specifically talking to men at this point right now, there's a lot of things. Success can be a distraction. because you're so caught up on trying to be in that position that you'll do whatever it takes, even if that means you're stepping over people or you're turning your back on people. And that ain't the type of leader you want to be, because if you do make it to that point, who's going to follow you? If you did it dirty, don't nobody want to walk with you like that, right? Success can be a huge distraction. There's other things that fall into that. So maybe you're doing well and, hey, come on, man, come on out and drink a couple with us, man. Like, it's cool. And you like, well, maybe, all right, cool, like I'm gonna celebrate it or whatever. And next thing you know, you drinking 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, but like heavily, to self-medicate when things get difficult. Or maybe you fall into that category of lust. It's a real thing, folks. It's a real thing that happens. And lust can be so many things, right? You could lust after success. You could lust after idols. And then there's the lust that we know. You know what I'm talking about. The temptress lust, the cinematography lust. Let's put it that way. I don't know if I can say the actual thing. I don't know if I can say like the actual word or what I'm trying to say, but I think we're picking up on what's going on. And that provides comfort for a lot of people. And one of the scary things is that, and this is kind of a thought that I've been thinking about for a while. Lust can turn into luxury for some people, but the problem is that luxury will destroy you. And what I'm learning is like, as you're going through life, those certain things that you used to be attracted to, when you decide you want to walk away from them, they try to find new ways to creep back in. A lot of times that happens when you're isolated. That's where a lot of your overthinking takes place, right? So think about this. When you're isolated, it's just you and your thoughts. And an idle mind can breed so many dangerous things in your head. You go from, well, that used to be a good time. Maybe we go back that way. Or it's, hey, man, we used to watch these videos and you were straight, man. So you might as well go ahead and do it. You ain't got nothing else to do. And you start believing these things in your mind, and it starts like putting you in a position where you're like, am I supposed to be doing this? Well, maybe this, maybe that. And that's where I call it a luxury, because as a former coworker of mine, he used to say, we live in the fast food world. We want it fast and we want it our way. Problem is, though, is even with fast food and certain things that we do in life, that want it fast and have it our way could be the pathway to destruction. Man, if you are dealing with certain things that you know you don't need to deal with, you have to flee from these things. But if you wonder, like if you go in the Word and you read your Bible and it says flee from like sexual immorality, idolatry, things of that nature, like flee from it, because all it will do is destroy you, and you'll have to start back from square one. You can see it in biblical days. You can see it in modern day. You can see it in some of your quote unquote celebrity people. I hope you're not idolizing celebrities. That ain't something we need to do. But sometimes we look up to certain people and then we get caught up in what it is, and then you see their life and you're wondering, how did they get caught up? Man, it can come in for anybody at any time, especially when you're trying to achieve success. When you reach a certain point, don't forget where you came from. Also, don't forget the person that blessed you to be there, because the minute that you forget that, you invite everything that is troublesome into your life. You do. I've had to look at myself. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I've had to sit with myself and be like, you're trying to make money for your fam. You're trying to create this podcast, which hopefully becomes lucrative one day, and you're trying to chase after these goals, but like, what are some of your distractions? What are some of the things that are trying to play off? Alcohol used to be a big thing. I had to cut back on that. Lust used to be a big thing. Not chasing after women, but more cinematography. But that's what I'm calling it. That used to rear his head, because at the time where I was single and things were going wrong, that was a comfort thing. Now, when I'm idolized, like if I'm not idolized, but when I'm idle and I'm kind of sitting, it will come. It tries to come back, but that's where you flee, and you have to find the right place to go. Flee toward friends, flee toward things that are going to go away from it, flee toward the Word. Like, I'm telling you this, like, I understand it's a struggle. You might be in it right now. You might be fighting every single day trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I go from there? Flee from it. And then remember your purpose. And that's why I tell you to stay on your path, because if you're staying focused and you're staying directly toward where you're supposed to go, then the distractions, as much as they try to interfere and disrupt, you'll be able to recognize it. It's using that mind of discernment. It's just recognizing, like, this is taking me away from what I want to do. This is going to halt my progress from where I want to go. I'm noticing that every time I take a step forward and I do something successful, the more the distractions come. So as I know more is coming, that means that I'm getting closer and closer to where I'm supposed to be. That's why we have to stay focused on our path. We have to stay focused on what it is that we have been intended to do or what God has blessed us to do. If for whatever reason we decide to go the distraction route because it looks quick, fun, and fast, and guess what happens? As quick as you were to turn to that distraction and make it your primary thing, you lose sight of everything that you've been working for. And we just can't afford to do that anymore when we're in the business of saving souls. You feel what I'm saying? Like, your path is so important, not only to you, but to everybody around you. Your testimony is going to save somebody's life one day. Your story is going to inspire somebody one day. Your path that you walk is going to be the blueprint for somebody to be great. But the minute you abandon it, it changes the course of so many people, starting with you. And the last thing I want us to do is to be looking back at ourselves and seeing a distraction and being like, why was that more important than what it was that God blessed me with? That's kind of where I'm at in my life right now. I have my struggles. Some days I win, some days I lose. All days I'm grateful, because if I'm able to learn from my failures and my disappointments and my mistakes, then I can grow and do my best to get better every single day. I got a family to feed. I got a wife that needs love and support. I got goals I want to reach. I got other people that I'm trying to inspire. I got this podcast that I'm putting out there. If I let anything distract me from the things that God has blessed me with, then I'm a failure. And I don't want to be that. I have spent, and I'm talking personal for me, I spent too much time living in the what if and allowing my mind to take me away from what it is that I'm choosing that I should conquer, that it postponed and put so many things on halt, probably because of fear, probably because of self-doubt, probably because of unbelief, right? Now that I'm in this position and I've really taken the time to see where I'm at, I realize walking your path is so vital to your life, to those around you, to those that are watching, and to the ultimate testimony of saving these souls. There's a lot out there. And to my people that don't understand that, you listen to Nipsey, like, you got a soul to save, right? Like, he says that in Hustle and Motivate. Listen to it every now and then. I'm more into Christian hip hop now, but Victory Lap was a great album. Say what y'all want to say. God rest Nipsey, because he had some good things that he was saying. But what I'm saying is like, in those moments and when you see those things, like when you see those things around you that are trying to snatch you away from what it is that you're trying to accomplish, you have to stay focused on what it is that you're supposed to do. And it will be difficult, because it's going to be tugging at you, and the things that you used to do are going to be coming back and telling you how comfortable that is. And the things that you had never thought would distract you are going to come in such a way where it's going to seem really, really attractive. That's when you got to use your mind, though. That's when you got to ask yourself, am I on the right path? I don't want anybody to be lost. I don't want anybody to stray away from what they're supposed to do. I just think that, could you imagine if we all stayed focused on our path and we did what we need to do? This world would be such a better place, because we would actually be able to heal. But have you noticed that the world is really allergic to that? You ever notice that when people talk about how they heal or they go through certain things or they're transparent or they're vulnerable, that they always get met with some type of hate? But have you noticed that when there's controversy or when there's things and when there's drama, everybody relates to it? Everybody draws to it? Why are we so drawn to the unhealthy and not the healthy? Why are we drawn to the drama and not the conflict resolution? Maybe because this world loves chaos more than it loves self-love, self-righteousness, or healing. And I don't mean self-love in a selfish way. I mean self-love as in, like, I love myself so much to the point where I want to help others love themselves in a positive way that allows people to grow, that allows people to heal, that allows people to recognize their traumas and turn their weaknesses into strengths. Like, that's the type of self-love I'm talking about. That's the path that I want us to walk. Looking at your mistakes, looking at your failures, and not letting them hinder you, but allowing them to feel the fire of going after what it is that you're truly passionate about. I really want us to be in that position to stand strong. I really want us to go after the things that God has called us to do. But so many of us sell ourselves short because the temptation is bigger than the dream in our mind, because we've overthought it. We've become anxious about it. We've allowed worry to enter. And when those things cultivate in our mind and they grow, damages our spirit. And once your spirit is damaged, and once you feel like you have no hope, and you feel like all is lost, you stray away. And too many people have strayed away from what we've needed. Many people need positive role models in their life. You know, I was blessed to coach some amazing basketball players, some of which still reach out to me. One of which the other day looked at one of my TikTok clips, and I sent it to him because I know he deals with like mental health and self-image and things. And he told me, he said, "Man, it's amazing that you can use your voice to spread positivity." And I thought to myself, could you imagine if I wasn't doing this? I'd just be another person out here. I can't just be another person. I can't be another number. I got to be somebody that makes an impact. I don't know how long I got on this earth. You don't know how long you got on this earth. But I know you got enough time to make an impact. You can start today. You can start right now. Get out of that idle mind. Stop sitting there just wondering what if. Make some things happen. And if you're scared to start, just take the first step. That could be research. That could be reaching out to people. That could be asking questions. Like all those things play a factor. But don't let an idle mind steer you away from everything that you've been called to do. Don't let these negative thoughts and your anxious thoughts and these worries and all these things grow in your mind, because you're the one planting that seed. You're letting certain situations come toward you, and you put that seed in your mind of doubt or fear or worry or anxiety or overthinking. And guess what? You are the one that waters it. So now all of a sudden it's starting to grow in your mind. And then there's certain small things that you're like, oh, well, I can get rid of that. So you clip the branches, but you never go for the root. You got to go to the root of the problem and figure out, what is it that's holding me back? Why is it not letting me succeed the way I want to succeed? How come I'm not making progress? What is it that is stopping me? Get to the root of the problem. Dig it up. See what it is. Heal it. Heal it. Because when you heal, you'll be surprised at how much health you give others. When you provide success, you'll be surprised at how many other people are wanting to achieve success. Man, listen, you got a light inside of you. I've been telling you that. You're unique, you're strong, you're independent. You got so many things that are out here that are meant for you, but you keep telling yourself that you can't do it, and your mind gonna tell you you can't. And you're going to be wondering what if. And you're going to realize years later, you're going to look back on all this and you're going to wonder, how come I never got to where I needed to be? I was trying to be like this person. I was trying to be like that person. I was trying to walk this path and I couldn't do it. And that path that I was walking, well, I didn't think it was that great. And then you realize it would have been the best thing that could have ever happened to you. But now you got to write the what if story. And guess who's reading that? Not a soul. Because nobody cares about what ifs. What if I was 6'8"? I'd probably be in the NBA. Nobody cares about that. You feel what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You are where you are for a reason. You are where you are right now because you have a purpose. At that point, I would strongly suggest to you to stay on your path and chase after what it is that God has called you to do. Because following that path is going to be greater than any distraction, any temptation, anything that tries to steal you away from what it is that you're trying to do. And ask yourself, why is that every time I get closer to the goal, something keeps trying to step in my way to take me away from it? Maybe the enemy will have to deal with itself if you achieve that success. And maybe, just maybe, you doing that creates a ripple effect where other people start to do that. And maybe their ripple effect affects somebody else. It becomes contagious to the point where we all are now chasing our dreams in a positive way, not in a selfish way, not in a prideful, arrogant way, but in a way that's going to not only better ourselves, but those around us. Maybe it's a fever dream. I don't know. But I do think that it can happen. And so my task this week is for you to stay on your path. Stay focused on what it is that you've been called to do. You're going to see every distraction that comes your way. Just realize you're stronger than the distractions. You're going to see temptations come your way. Realize that you can flee from those temptations. You're going to see things or hear things from people that are going to try to plant self-doubt in your mind. They're going to try to make you overthink who you are and what you're doing. Remember who you are and whose you are and whose image you're made in. I had somebody tell me that when I was working at a job that I was kind of happy with, but not really happy with. And she told me, never forget who you are and whose you are. And remember that he is the one that's blessed you. And I've never forgotten that. And I wish I could see that person to tell them, thank you. And maybe one day I will. If it's in God's plan, it's going to happen. But that's what happens when you stay on your path. Stay on your path, stay the course, and trust the process. It might not be the most glamorous thing right now. You might think that, man, this ain't it, and it might feel uncomfortable, but it's getting you closer and closer to where you need to be. And we're waiting on you to achieve it. We're waiting on you to accomplish your dream. We're waiting on you to reach that destination so that way you could be a blessing to us. We're waiting on that to happen so that way we can be a blessing to other people. It will not happen if you get off the road, if you decide that the distractions are more important, or if the temptation is more important. Nothing in this world is more important. None of these distractions, none of these temptations are important, because what you're chasing after and what it is that you're blessed to do has been God-given. And when it's God-given, ain't nothing or no one that can take it away from you. Always remember that I believe in you. Now go believe in yourself, all right? It's the Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm Ed. We out.
These thoughts up in my head, things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here. I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.